Hey there, Russ here. Welcome back to the shop. Just a little tiny bit left. I've been kind of savoring it. So, anyway, I want to talk about and update you on my Mitersaw station. I finally got the station itself set in place at the height it's going to be. I had the skeleton built around it with the marble drawer. All the sawdust, hopefully, that doesn't go up the vacuum will just fall down into the little dust box here. And I can just empty this easily. I'm also going to put a dust hood blower on that. This one right here, which is basically a squirrel cage. That's the inlet. Squirrel cage is right in here. This is the outlet. So I'll put a filter on the outlet side, and I'm just going to put this right here with a hole through there. So the air is sucked from inside this box through this fan. So it acts like a dust hood. And all the fine dust that's created in this area theoretically should go up and want to go into that fan. So that hopefully then will create a very good environment. Because this thing, when you use it, you get a cloud of dust, just like Pigpen does when he walks down the street. So in order to keep that to a minimum, we've got to kind of encapsulate it, and then I'm going to have the fan going to have negative pressure in this area so that all the airborne dust in this area, hopefully, will just go back into the box. That's the theory. We'll see how well it works. I may need a stronger fan, which I can just put a 20 by 20 box fan in there or something obnoxious like that and put it on high speed if I have to. And then that thing will suck. But hopefully I don't have to be quite that radical. But the idea is to get negative pressure in here. So anyway, enough rambling. I actually wanted to give you some details on the shop vac itself. If you remember, I had the little small wet-dry shop vac. Had the red base on it, had a small 1.25-inch hose, and the hose ran from the shop vac into my theme baffle. I did a video on that quite a long time ago, and I'll leave a link to it, and it's called the theme baffle or something. It was the first theme baffle I did was this one. So anyway, I still used it. I didn't change anything really about it other than where it's located. And instead of having a hose running from the shop vac to that, I actually mounted the shop vac right on top of the theme baffle. Let me show you. Let me pull this off. Let's take a quick look here, and then we'll know where we're at. So this box is here just to capture all the air that comes out of the shop vac after the vacuum comes from here and comes up. And that goes into the theme baffle here, comes around. This is the dust collection bucket for the theme baffle. This piece of plywood right here, 1/2 inch thick, that has the upper bucket hot glued down on it. And I have the theme baffle cut out right on this sheet. So this whole thing, and this is all one piece with a pipe in the center and this pipe coming in at an angle on the outside so everything circulates. The big stuff comes out, and that comes right out of here. So this is quick and easy to empty, and you can put it back in there, and then it's back in place ready to go. So emptying this is real quick and easy. This will collect probably whatever goes up that chute, about 95% of it will go here. What little fine dust there is, it's going to come up through. This is sitting right on there in line, so the vacuum, once it gets in here, it's being sucked up into this case from a hole that I drilled. And then I hot glued this and mounted this right on top. So this is a pretty short run. This plastic PVC pipe comes out here, comes down to this point, and this is where this hose is it right here. So there's very little run on this whole vacuum line, and these two chambers are pretty small. But this is then, everything goes straight through and it gets blown out into this box. With the panel on it, and I'll put a filter in it here, and then I'll close this off. Any air that comes into this box will get filtered as it comes back out into the room. So all the fine dust just passes right through and comes into this box. And that should capture here. Easy to clean. I have a shop vac right here to clean out once a year. How often do I clean it? I don't know yet. We'll just see by how much I use it. But I suspect it will be very low maintenance to keep this cleared. The filter will just be mounted on that faceplate here, so I can take that in and out and easily look at there, make sure whether or not I have to do something in there. So, but it should be pretty good. Now, on a shop vac, the air blowing for the cooling the motor is separate from the air that is the vacuum. Those are two different chambers. Now, the air intake and the exhaust on the cooling motor is in the top of this. And yes, there's going to be a lot of dust in there with it. So, rather than having that dust contaminate it, I'm going to take a piece of sponge, porous sponge, and build a little box and hot glue that on the intake so that any air in that box will get filtered through that little sponge so that the motor will still be able to get cool and it will not overheat. It's not going to be on for that long because this is hooked in to where it only runs when I pull the trigger here through this little relay that I bought. So that only runs for a few seconds while I'm doing the actual cut. Otherwise, it's shut down. So it shouldn't be a big deal. There shouldn't be a lot of dirt and dust in there. And it shouldn't be too bad, but we'll see. The main thing you want to make sure of is that you keep your run as short as you can to get the best performance. And also, I really like having the easy empty bucket so that it's maintenance free to keep it going and keep it clean. Don't let that thing get too full accidentally. It's right there where I see it every time. So when I get the wiring on this whole station, you'll see how it all works. But the theme baffle itself is the same one. Like I said, 1/2-inch plywood here. Theme baffle cut out on it. This is hot glued on top so that it all works pretty good in very short amount. I used 5-quart buckets here. They're just little paint buckets from a hardware store. And since it's such a small vacuum to begin with, this bucket is more than adequate space to still get a good performance out of that small shop vac. And everything is 1.25 inches, just like the hose was, so that it keeps it pretty much streamlined. The only thing I did was eliminate the filtration in here in the ball, the check ball. All that is gone, so the air can flow straight through. So that's it in a nutshell. It's an easy way to actually make a good collection out of a regular shop vac of any kind. As long as it's a wet-dry vac, then your chamber for the air motor cooling and for the airflow of the vacuum are separate chambers always on a shop vac, on a wet-dry vac. So keep that in mind so you don't have to worry about it. Just make sure that whatever comes out doesn't contaminate the motor. So you might have to put something on that. Other than that, this really works well, and it seems to be proportional to what it is. And if you look at the footprint of this thing hanging on the wall, it's 30 inches tall, and it's about 13 by 13 in size in all reality. That whole thing would fit in a very small cart that you could roll around, make that a nice little portable one with the hose right on it. If you wanted to do something like that for a shop vac that you roll around, it would take up very small footprint using this type of shop vac, which is more than enough. Real quick, so you know, there's a lot of vacuums out there. And if you want to use a house vacuum cleaner to do for your suction instead of a shop vac, that's okay, except for you can't put the air filtration on the outlet where the air is blowing. You have to filter on the vacuum side of where that motor is, because all the air that cools that motor comes from inside of that other chamber where all the vacuum is being sucked up. So you have to clean that air before it goes through there, or it will contaminate that motor. That's the only downside to using a house one, is where you put that air filter. Other than that, you should always put the air filtration, the fine dust picking, and clean that out, really should be on the pressure side of a vacuum system, just like on a dust collector. If you ever noticed, they all filter the air, final filter, on the outside, under the pressure, not on the vacuum side. And that's because it's a more efficient way of doing it. So you do it with a shop vac too. Put that air filtration on the pressure side of things it'll be more efficient, and the filter will actually last longer, a lot longer than when it's on the vacuum side. So don't be afraid to move that filter on a shop vac, on a wet vac type of vacuum. So, and that's how you kind of tell the difference. Anyway, I'm rambling again. This is a great setup. It works real well. I have the short hose on here, and I have plenty of room to move this back and forth. Works great. But we'll get into all that as I get further along, because I have some ideas on here that I think you're going to not believe that should really make this a fun project, and maybe you might even pick up a couple of really cool ideas before we're done. So, because we're only started. The marble thing and the shop vac, that's all just the start of things. Where do we get further along? I think you're going to enjoy it. So, stick around. Come back. If you have suggestions or comments, leave them below. I try to answer them all the time. I'm usually around here during the day, so usually I answer those a lot quicker. But in any case, if you like this video, you learned something here, hit that like button. It helps. Most importantly, come back again, because I'm nowhere near done. Thanks, and we'll see you guys later. Bye.